Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's Lunch and Learn. I'm Lauren Smith with the International Franchise Association, and we have a great 30 minutes signed up for you. Before we begin, I would like to remind everyone that we are recording today's webinar and will make it available later this evening on franchise.org. If you have any questions for today's speakers, please add them to the Q&A box and they will be addressed toward the end. Today's topic is Qvinci data consolidation, reporting and business intelligence features not available in QuickBooks, and it is brought to us by Qvinci. Here to provide today's discussion is Brad Adams, CEO of Qvinci Software, and Charles Nagel, founder and CIO of Qvinci Software. Thank you all for joining us today, and thank you to Qvinci for sponsoring today's Lunch and Learn. I'll go ahead and turn things over to you.
Thank you, Lauren. I appreciate it. And we have a jam-packed session here for you guys today. As Lauren mentioned, Charles Nagel and I will be the presenters and moderator today. And we wanted to first show you some of the top franchise brands that trust Qvinci. It doesn't make a big difference how big or small your franchise brand is. Qvinci has the answer. Learning objectives. Why are we here today? Okay, we want to do 5 things. We want to show you how to implement a near real-time data collection, aggregation, consolidation, and mapping solution. We want to talk about automation of manual processes. We want to show you how to implement a solution that will establish and maintain brand-defined standards for everything. We want to utilize tools and technologies to communicate to your franchise owners in a manner they can understand, make sense of, and act on. And at the end, we want to use all of this to create that brand-wide culture of transparency, collaboration, compliance, profits, and expansive growth. All right, what are we trying to do here? Imagine, we call it the push-pull dynamic, okay? And Charles is going to go over some of these tools, the KPI scorecard advisory portal. And the KPI scorecard is really meant to help or motivate or push franchise owners to reach out to their franchise business coaches to seek corrective help. The pull is the advisory portal or franchise wellness dashboard, and it's designed to motivate business coaches to contact franchise owners and pull them into a culture of collaboration and profitable growth. So if you have the franchise owners reaching out to the business coaches and the business coaches reaching out to the franchise owners, you get this collaboration between the two, and only good things can happen from there. All right, everything we're going to talk about today starts with the 3 pillars for properly scaling franchise growth. The 3 pillars are simply franchise financial insights and data consolidation, the data. 2, franchise owners performance coaching, and 3, brand compliance and expansion. Those are the 3 pillars of franchise financial management solution that Qvinci provides, and we think are very, very important for all franchises. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to break the tools that we have that are not in QuickBooks into the 3 pillars that I just discussed. Okay, the franchise financial insights and data consolidation, pillar 1. Franchise owner performance coaching, pillar 2. Brand compliance and expansion, pillar 3. All right, so let's get right into this, and we're going to start with the franchise financial insights and data consolidation pillar and the franchise wellness dashboard. And we're going to have Charles pick up the screen there. I'm going to let Charles bring his screen in. And Charles, you can go ahead and take the screen. And if you want to talk to me, tell us about the franchise wellness dashboard and why it's so important for a franchise brand and their business coaches to start here.
Okay, are you guys seeing my screen at this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is your hub that you will land on and your franchisees will land on. And in a nutshell, it rolls up a bunch of data across many units. Franchise owners only see the units that belong to them. So if I were an owner and I owned Apple Family Dental, Bright Smiles, I'll only see the 2 in this screen. You as at the mothership, at the corporate location, you see all the entities. And what we've done is we've compiled data across all the units, and think of it like this: red's bad, green's good. So if it's red, we've already done the calculations on all these headers, and we're showing you what the trend looks like, reporting month over reporting of the prior month. or 3 months, same period last year, or 3 months over 3 months, or fiscal year over fiscal year. If I click this, all these numbers are going to change. So I log in, I simply look for things that are red. So now I come down here and I see Bristol Beer Garden as an example, and the top 10 expenses are 42%, trending adversely 42%. If I click this cell, it's hot. And so when I click it, it brings up, it says, well, here's the top 10 expenses for February of 25 and January of 25, and so these are 41% worse than January. And you'll notice that the order of events here is going to be different. I mean, in February, the chart of accounts that were the biggest ones are different than the prior month. So you begin to see movement across different accounts as well. And we show you what they are. Well, now that you've looked at this, and so you're analyzing, so wait a minute, why is this median print and advertising 14% and 8% here? Well, you can click this button here, and we're going to drill down and show you the underlying data for that location. And so here's the P&L for that data for that location. And now I begin to see a little more granularly. We're going from general to specific, and I'm seeing more granularly. I can look at everything for the period in question and look at the same period last year. And all of these numbers are hot. So if I come down here and I find something on media print and advertise, $10,000, if I click this, it drills down to the transaction level. And it shows what was spent where, by whom, without ever opening QuickBooks. You need to not have it, you don't need to have access to QuickBooks or Xero or Excel, whatever the source material that's syncing data into Qvinci. You do not need that. We're putting the data into your portal. You simply close this screen, and I close this screen, and I'm back on the portal. And I interrogate the next one. Maybe I want to look at the profit margin at 60% off profit margin for this location. Same recipe, click it, drill down to the underlying data. This portal is used to give you a landscape view across many, many, many locations with rolled up data that allows you to drill down to the underlying detail. So you know what's happening on a location basis, on a location that you choose to interrogate, that you're looking at. And as you move through, see, I got a second page here, here are more units over here, more locations over here, and I can drill down to the net income. And I start seeing these kind of red numbers, you know, probably want to get the franchise coach talking to the franchisee. Brad, back to you.
Thank you very much, Charles. Charles, why don't you let me grab the screen back for a minute.
Okay.
All righty, and share. Okay, you know, Charles, I'd like you to talk a little bit about the operational problems Qvinci solves at sort of high level. You know, and I think this slide here kind of summarizes kind of the things we're trying to accomplish here. If you wouldn't mind talking about a couple of these items here in this sort of operational problem that Qvinci solves.
So here's the problem in the franchise space. If we start at the bottom of the screen, you got location 1 through N, 10,000. All these locations are not running the exact same copy of QuickBooks. They may not even run the exact same version. They may not even be running QuickBooks. So this financial data is down at is owned by the franchisee, and they're doing their accounting at the remote locations and those yellow bubbles at the bottom. The problem is you got to get that data from there up to you and standardized. So what we do is we have sync technology that will automatically connect to QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Hosted. It'll also connect to Excel. It'll connect to Xero, those black boxes there. Those are the accounting systems that might be used. We have data that we can extract that data automatically on a daily basis from all the remote accounting files from all the remote systems that you've got, the units out there. And we bring it up into into the cloud. And all these users at the top, brand management, our private equity franchisors, franchisees, log into Qvinci where this data has been gathered and standardized. Immaterial, and I'll point this out to you, those locations down at the bottom, the chart of accounts are going to be different. And if you have 10 different accounts that are different, rent, budget, rent, office space, lease, whatever they call these accounts, you can't lock them down. It's not possible. So you can't standardize it remotely. You can't. So imagine you have 100 QuickBooks files out there in the field, and everybody's got only 10 accounts that are named something different from each other. Your P&L will be 1,000 lines long without Qvinci's tools, which we're going to look at on probably the next slide. Brad, let's go ahead and take a look at that next slide.
Okay, there you go.
And this is where these are the tool sets. So we just looked at automated data collection is what we did. and doing consolidation. Well, you can't do anything on this slide unless you collect the data automatically, like I just showed you, pulling it from a plurality of locations into the cloud. Well, if you're going to do automated data consolidation, benchmarking, comparisons, you have to do that second button there, which is dynamic mapping. We call it mapping to a standard chart of accounts, or SCOA, standard chart of accounts. We own the patents on this. The data comes in, automatically comes in, and we have a mapping capability that allows you to design the chart of accounts that you want to use for your ecosystem. Regardless of what's in the QuickBooks files in the field, we will put them into your standard automatically. It's called mapping. Once you can do that, you can do automated reporting. You can build what we call templates. We're going to see some in a minute that will run on one, many, or all locations. This sounds weird, but instead of doing one report for every location, then trying to put them together, Qvinci will automatically bring the data together and put it in the report of your choice. Okay? And then you can blend. You can do things like data blending. If you go back, data blending allows you to put non-financial data with financial data. And of course, when you can do all of this, you can build business intelligence, interpret the data, and show me action items that I need to take. So in a nutshell, collect the data, standardize it, map it, and then have automated reporting and data blending and business intelligence. Right?
Thank you, Charles. And guys, we just went over the franchise wellness dashboard. That's the the franchise wellness dashboard. Charles went over this in app, and you guys all have this. You'll see it on the deck just to kind of remind you. Charles did the drill down. All right. The next group of tools, pillar one, we talked about the data and the wellness dashboard of getting all the data in one spot and being able to drill down on the data. Charles is going to go over two of the many tools we have for franchise owner performance coaching. And Charles, I'm going to give you back the screen.
Okay, you should be seeing mine now.
Yes.
Okay, so this is one tool that we have in Qvinci. We call them templates. And our authoring tool looks just like Excel. In fact, this is in Excel. I've dumped it out of Qvinci. Everything you can do in Excel, you can do in Qvinci. So it goes both ways. If you like, for instance, when you want to dump a report and share it with people, you might want it to be dynamic and have the formulas in there. You might want to have it be able to do things like changing from percent incomes to actual amounts on the fly. So you author things in Qvinci and either view them in Qvinci or export them to Excel or PDF and that sort of thing. So here's how you would use this, what we call the KPI scorecard. You'll notice here that we've automatically pulled the top 5 income, COGS, and expense accounts for you out of any file automatically using your standard chart of accounts. What you'll do is you'll put some standards in here. You'll say, you know what, I would like to see catering contracts. It really ought to be 29.6% to 33.6%. You'll put your standards in here, your what we call the ideal range on a line item basis. One time, you'll do it one time. And we're going to tell you how they're doing. So we ran it for Morristown Cafe, and we see that Morristown Cafe did 33.1% for contracts, and that's well within, so it's black. If it's green, they exceeded expectations. And if it's red, red's bad, right? Below expectations. We do this for income, COGS, and staff wages. So your franchisees can run this for themselves, and your franchise coaches can also run it, and you're singing from the same songbook. You're looking for red, find red, fix red, okay? And here's the prior month. And 33.1 is better than the 28.1, so you get a green check. I'm trending the right direction. I did 16.6 here and 18.3 the prior month. I'm going the wrong direction. I get a red X. And here's the average of the last 12 months for Morristown Cafe. And this is where it gets really important for franchises. All of the rest of units in your ecosystem, the average is 43.1% and 9.1%. And the top 20% of the performers in your ecosystem, 57% and 6.6%. See, we show you your ideal range and how they're doing against it and how they're trending and how they compare to everybody else in the ecosystem that quickly. This all happens in seconds, okay? Now, the cool thing about Qvinci is this. Let's say you have a multi-unit owner. He's got 12 locations. He can actually select all 12 locations, and this report will run exactly the same, but it'll give him the metrics across all 12 of his locations. Same template, just selecting more units. So this gives you the kind of information you're looking for, trended compared to an ideal range, a desired range, which is also, part of your standardization, right? If you want to have print, media, and advertising be 3.5% to 7.5%, you'd like to know they're really performing. They're really doing that, right? That's going to support that third tier that we're going to talk about in a little bit. In addition to this, so this is an example of one template. Let me show you another template. It's called the performance. It's a performance dashboard, and it goes like this. Another tool, very dynamic. Franchisees can run it. You can run it. Singing from the same songbook. I select it. We have we pre-populated with the standard accounts, but all these accounts are changeable. So you may say, let me zoom this down a little bit. You may say long-term liabilities don't have any meaning for me. I click here and I can go in and change it and say, but food sales do. So I click food sales and now I'm looking at the data for food sales for August 24. I may want to change it to a prior month, July of 24. And we color code everything. If it's green, it's going the right direction from the prior period, month over month. If it's red, it's going the wrong direction, okay? And then you have the monthly view, the 3-month view, and the fiscal year-to-date view. Now, the charts in the middle here tell you the last 12 months of trending. How has this been doing the last 12 months? Bad trend. This is not good. We have something to talk about. You and the franchisee and the franchise goat have something to talk about. You can both run this for the units in question. And again, if that franchisee has 12 locations, he wants to see how all of his 12 locations are doing, he just selects all 12 locations, previews this report, and this will be the data for 12 locations. Very simple to use. It's one of the standard reports in our gallery. We have over 200 templates, reports in our gallery ready for you to use. And I should mention this, Qvinci is an authoring tool. We can build almost anything custom. We do it all the time. So you may have a scorecard you like that you'd like Qvinci to automate for you on 1 to n units. Probably can do that. Custom math, custom analytics, like I mentioned earlier, mixing non-financial data with financial data, if you will. You can build almost anything you want to in Qvinci. And when it comes to allowing it to be run by a franchisee, if you so desire, you can have reports that only you run at corporate. If you want the franchisees to be able to run the same report for their own entities, it's called pinning. You click one button, and now it's available for everyone in the ecosystem to run on their own units. This is an example of one performance dashboard. Let's take a look at another one. We call it the Big Four. Let me pop them open here. And okay, so it looks like this. It's called Big Four Top 10. So as an example, I just want to see, I'm logging in. I say, look, this is kind of a dashboard thing. Show me my revenue trended over the last 12 months. Gross profit, expense, net income. Show it to me for January, February, and I'm going to multi-select January, February, and March of 24. That's what I want to see, 3 months. So these reports are dynamic. You can be able to navigate them and look at things that are seeing trends. You want to look at trends because trending tells you where you're going, where you've come from, and where you're going. The second tab down here is called the top 10. We're going to show your top 10 income. We're going to show your top 10 COGS, your top 10 expenses for the months, for the reporting month, reporting quarter, fiscal year, and prior fiscal year. So in this case, I got income selected for Bloom Hill Dentistry, and I'm looking at the top income accounts and for the month, the quarter, the fiscal year to date, and the prior fiscal year. I'm seeing trending comparisons between these, and you'll see these accounts are going to be different period over period. And if you want to change it to expenses, to see the top 10 expenses, simply go expenses, and here they are. So instead of digging through a bunch of reports in QuickBooks, imagine doing this if you want to consolidate 67 locations. I mean, how would you do that in QuickBooks? Well, you can't. It's too hard, but Qvinci will do it in a matter of seconds. So we have lots of templates like this, business intelligence templates. We're going to look at a few more in a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to Brad and let him discuss the next topic. And but I'm not going to stop sharing, Brad. I'm just going to leave this up, and then you'll bring us to the next.
That's a good idea. We got 18 minutes in, so we got about 12 minutes left. So the next group we're going to talk about is the third pillar, brand compliance and expansion. And Charles is going to go over 2 of the many templates we have, our break-even analysis and benchmarking and ranking. So Charles, why don't you go ahead and do that?
Okay, so the break-even report. Now, break-even reports sound a little sterile. Well, this is break-even with what-if analysis. So you can run it, your franchisees can run it. We automatically populate all the accounts and show you what you're really doing. And we show you a break-even point right here. And this break-even point for this business, company X, is $2,365,000. Okay? And if you wanted to, and you can look at your controllable costs. These are your controllable costs. Usually you can COGS, that kind of thing, or variable cost. And you've got non-controllable costs on here, things that are fairly fixed, like rent and that sort of thing. So we give you the data on all the accounts in the ecosystem, showing you where you are now. Now, if I want to improve this, I come over to the what if columns over here. And we pre-populate it with what you've been doing, and you can change the ratios here, inject a new ratio. So let's say that your material costs are 15%. That's what we're seeing here. Let me zoom this up a little bit. It's probably small on your screen. 15% is what your material costs are. And if you think you can do better, I can come over here and I can put in, 13.87. And that will change. Let me zoom this down. And what that does is it shifts your break-even point down. You can see what I've done here. I've done a better job of controlling my variable cost. And my break-even point begins to drop down. So actual break-even versus a what-if break-even. You just come through and just cherry pick, the ones that you think, sorry, 0.6. 6%, and just start cherry picking these the accounts that you think you can change. And if you think you can change some of the non-controllable costs, salaries as an example are 7.8%. If you've got someone leaving, you're not going to replace them, put in 7.2, it's going to move everything down. But what you can do with this particular tool is analyze where you are, play some what if games, and here's what's really cool. Your franchisees will download this, will use this and download this, and they will make these changes and they can work on their own business. So you can guide them as a franchise coach. You can run this for them, put what you think they ought to be able to do, download it to Excel and send it off to them. Hey, take a look at this, Fred. I've made some stabs at what I think we can possibly do here. So again, you're the common language, you're generating a common dialogue. And when you do that kind of thing, you really begin to start making headway. Now, one of the most powerful tools we have is called the ranking and benchmarking report. And what franchise doesn't want to rank and benchmark? This works like this. I'm gonna compress the time frame here. You have 3 periods. You have for the reporting month, the prior 3 months, or the reporting fiscal year. We automatically pull all locations and put them here. And we do total income, COGS, gross profit, total expense, net income, and we allow you to pick 3 custom accounts. In this case, I've got local marketing. And you can see I've highlighted local marketing. Everything that's yellow, the reason I've highlighted that is we're giving you the top 10%, the top 20%, and the average of the ecosystem. Here are the numbers with the ratios. And all these columns are sortable. So if I sort my COGS in descending order, I see my worst performers. And lo and behold, location 35 is COGS is 78.9%, and the average is 38. What would happen do I know what to talk to this guy about? Yeah, man, it's way out of whack. By the way, I've run this with real clients, and this really happens. Start cherry picking and looking at all the things that are out of bounds from the system average. Show you all locations. All these columns are sortable. Find red, fix red. Red income, net income is red. That's bad. So over here, you can see I've highlighted all the average for total marketing is 0.3%. I've highlighted all of them. This is Excel. I've highlighted all of them that are less than 0.3%. Okay? They are not conforming to my standards. So this is where you do your brand standards. You'll come in here, you'll set your standards at, like we did in the scorecard, 5%, 8%. You'll come in here, you'll look at these, and you'll find all the ones who are not complying, who are not following your standards, or that are just not performing well at all. It's called the ranking and benchmarking report. It's one of the most powerful things that we have. Built it specifically for franchises and multi-unit owners. Brad, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Okay. Well, Charles, could you bring up the wellness dashboard or advisory portal up again? We have a question, I think, while we're here.
Okay.
I think you can answer that one. The question was, how do I make sure that my franchise owners reporting month data is up to date? And could you explain the simple way we do that at Qvinci?
A couple of things. You can see the column here, the last date that Qvinci sent these files. So if they have not turned their computer on, they're running QuickBooks Desktop and they haven't had it on for two weeks, they haven't got it updated, number one. Number two, you can actually put use the reporting month field that we have here to set the months. And what your endpoint will do is they'll come in and they'll say, yeah, I did it in February of 25. I mean, I am warranting to you, Mr. Franchisor, that my books are up to date, right? And every month you'll come through and clear it out, and it'll become up to date. So using these two columns, because I know we're really short on time, using these two columns, you'll be able to determine the last time we got it and the last time they warranted that it's up to date.
All right, thanks, Charles. I'll go ahead and grab the screen back.
Okay.
All righty. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. We have a little bit less than 5 minutes left, so let's bring it to a conclusion. Just wanted to let everyone know that Qvinci is also a single source provider of cost-effective franchise fintech solutions. We sell QuickBooks and Qvinci. We have some great package deals going on right now, and we also provide the customer support. So when you buy QuickBooks and Qvinci from Qvinci, you get a combined customer support for both. And a lot of people really, really like that aspect of it. The next question is, why doesn't the competition measure up? Well, it's simple. Lack of consolidation of multiple financial files. Qvinci invented the process. It happens automatically in the background every night. And we're the only ones that do that. Everyone else is sort of a manual process. Number two, lack of automation. We automate those manual processes and to make sure things there's not prone to human error. Number three, limited or canned reporting. Charles talked about that. All these reportings, we have over 200 of these in our library. They're usable as is or customizable at will. If we got the data, it's math. We can figure it out. We have a saying at Qvinci, if you can imagine it in Microsoft Excel, we can build it and automate it in Qvinci. Lack of meaningful BI, KPIs, and customized reporting. That's the real key of Qvinci. And that's what differentiates us from QuickBooks and all the other competitors out there. And then, a heavy reliance on Excel. We use Excel because everyone knows it, but you can go inside Qvinci with Excel and import or export inside Qvinci and be right there. So you're not relying on Excel, but you're using it as a tool. All right, recap. What did we learn today? Okay, we empower franchises of all industries and sizes to access near real-time homogeneous franchise location data. And the second thing we do, we provide value-added insights all franchise owners understand and can act on. You got to make things simple. And that's what we talked about in the beginning, the push-pull paradigm and the green versus red. We have a saying at Qvinci, green is good, red, we got to talk. Easy to understand. Most people understand that small business owners don't really understand a traditional financials, but they do understand green is good and red we got to talk. Second thing we do, or the third thing we do, is eliminate wasteful manual processes, workflows, and over-reliance on spreadsheets. The next thing we do, we talked about today, is effectively coach your franchise owners for performance. That is really key. Once you got the data, you coach your franchise owners for performance. And then the final thing is we proactively manage brand compliance and expansion. In other words, keeping the franchise owners in compliance with the brand rules and regulations and sell more franchise locations. That's what all the things we talked about today are contained in these 5 points. Okay, what are the next steps? Everyone's going to get a copy of this deck. You can schedule a private demonstration. You can take a test drive, or you can visit our learning center and see more videos and more thought leadership and product videos. Test drive is great. We're gonna give you a test drive with your own data via our free trial process. You fill out that form. We'll have a person to call you. They'll get you on board, get your own data, and you could be driving this vehicle the same day. All right, Q&A session. We got a couple of questions here. we don't have much time, but I thought one question here I thought was interesting, Charles. I'll let you answer it. He said, "I'm concerned about security. Can one entity see another entity's data? How is that data kept secure?"
Well, it's a hardened system, and Intuit sends us through an audit every year that they pay for to make sure it's secure. But all users are segmented from each other. It's a permission. You have complete control over permissions of who sees what. By default, franchise owners are kept separate from each other. So there's no way they can log into each other's data set. So and we teach you how to do that. We'll help you set that up.
Thank you, Charles. Well, listen, we're just a little bit over time, so we're going to wrap it up. If our team will be standing by to answer any questions of anyone and that has here that attended this session. And the last thing I want to go over here is our appendix. You're going to get a copy of this deck, and I got a bunch more examples we didn't have time to go over with of Qvinci report and business intelligence templates, and that are not available anywhere, and including not available in QuickBooks. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Lauren. And thank you, Lauren, for helping us with this webinar.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brad and Charles. This was excellent content and excellent feedback from all of you. We really do appreciate it. Again, this webinar was recorded, and along with the presentation deck will appear on our website early this evening. You'll be able to find that at franchise.org. Thank you very much again to our speakers and the Qvinci team. And again, thank you to everyone for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day and stay safe and healthy. Bye.
Thank you. Happy Mardi Gras.